Is the trade war finally over? Well, markets certainly seem to think so, following President Trump's meeting last week with China's Xi Jinping. I'm Tina Fordham, and you're watching The Navigator. The U.S. trade and security reset has been our top geostrategy theme for 2025, and of course, it was the announcement back in April of President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs that sent shockwaves across the world. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. has concluded 9 trade agreements in the past 7 months, with 48 countries remaining, most notably China, where another pause has been agreed. So, will trade tensions ease in the year ahead of U.S. midterm elections, or have we simply reached the end of the beginning? In this episode, we'll look at the key takeaways from last week's off-cycle U.S. elections, read the tea leaves on the Supreme Court's review of presidential authority on tariffs, and, as always, take you through the Navigator watch list. Last week's U.S. off-year election results highlighted that many Americans' top concern is the so-called affordability crisis. Campaigning on household costs delivered big wins for Democrats across the key races and underscored the fact that some American voters think that tariffs are making things worse. But will the rebuke dealt by voters to the White House agenda cause a change in the administration's policy priorities when it comes to tariffs? This is less clear. Enter the U.S. Supreme Court, or SCOTUS, which has begun reviewing the legal challenge to Trump's tariff authority in a case that bears significant implications for the global business and foreign policy environment. Opening arguments during the hearings highlighted concern from some justices about the use of executive authority to pass tariffs, a power which the U.S. Constitution grants to Congress, but the White House argues it can use under certain circumstances. President Trump mounted a robust defense of his authority to pass tariffs on social media, and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent cautioned that unwinding the tariffs could cause significant economic disruption. The administration has requested an expedited decision in the case, which is now expected early next year. And the court's decision will be consequential on numerous levels, from the implications for the use of presidential power, to the conduct of future trade negotiations, to the very real consequences for the companies that have had to pay the tariffs and may be eligible for a refund. Markets are already starting to place bets on how it might all play out, and prediction markets seem to be betting against the White House, with polymarket odds dropping to just 25% that the tariffs will stay in place. The final decision from the U.S. Supreme Court will be a key political signpost for 2026, especially heading into midterm elections, so we'll keep you posted. Turning now to our Navigator watch list for November, we've removed the U.S. government shutdown, which ended after 43 days, and we've added a new risk factor after President Trump announced that the U.S. would resume nuclear weapons testing for the first time since 1992, with the Kremlin subsequently warning that it would take reciprocal measures. We're continuing to watch the fragile Mideast ceasefire and Russia-NATO tensions closely, and tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela are also on the watch list as the U.S. military presence in the Caribbean grows. A bright spot in the geopolitical risk outlook is that in the Middle East, Houthi rebels have announced that they will pause their attacks on Red Sea shipping lanes in light of the ceasefire. Finally, we are reducing our weighting for trade war risks for now. We don't think the trade war is over, just on hold. We'll see you next time for the December Navigator, which will feature a preview of our 2026 Global Outlook, Brave New World. With that, I'll close with the words of Louis Pasteur: "Fortune favors the brave, but chance favors the prepared mind." And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our free newsletter.